Hello, YouTube. Hello, TikTok as well. I'm in a different setting. I should have done this at the start, really, but wipe my camera. We go, that's a little bit better. I'll turn this up. I already have my microphone out. I was recording for the podcast. I did a podcast interview like an hour ago. Incredible. I can't wait for you all to listen to it. But I was already set up. So I was like, let's go live. And I want to speak about a topic that came up on the podcast, which was all about self awareness and really understanding how we can use that as a key to ourselves. And I'm probably going to speak about something that, in regards to self awareness, that isn't spoken about a lot, I don't see, and I think can be seen differently when it comes to being self aware. So, just right now, as I'm speaking, I want you just to like tap in. Are you a self aware person? Do you have an understanding of what self awareness is? What does that mean to you? And something that I have said for the longest time to all of my clients, and I want to share on this live because I feel that it's important, is I teach them that there are two forms of self awareness. There's the self awareness that maybe you are thinking about now is like, I am aware. I'm aware of what's happening in my life. I'm aware of the things I'm experiencing, maybe childhood trauma. I'm aware of how I am in my job. I'm aware how I am as a business owner, whatever it may be. That's self awareness. So you actually can see what is going along. Like you're not going along, happening. You're not naive. You're not like, ah, la da 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 da, this naive frame of mind. Self awareness is that. The second type of awareness that I speak to about with all of my clients that I really encourage them to step into, and today I'm encouraging you to step into, is conscious awareness. So, how are these two different? Hello to everyone joining on TikTok and on YouTube. How are these two different? Conscious awareness takes everything that you've learned in self awareness, and then we start to ask ourselves, well, what am I doing with this? How am I making a change? How am I shifting my life? How am I becoming better? How am I progressing? For everyone that watches this channel, that follows me, you are a high achiever. You're a high achieving woman and you are ambitious. You have goals, you have desires. You can feel it in your bones, you can feel it in your soul that you were made for an incredible, insane life. Whether that is a wealthy life, whether that is traveling, whether that is a farm with a million puppies. I use that always as a bit of a just such a different outlook because success and wealthy life could look different to everyone. But what I see with the women that come and work with me and the women that are truly making progress, like they're moving the needle, and even in face of, because law of polarity, we're always going to have the downward turn. We are always going to, what's the word I'm looking for? We are always going to experience the perceived negative parts of life. And so even in those moments, I get my clients to tap into the conscious awareness. What am I doing with this? Because there's going to be a lot of self-aware people watching this, and maybe you identify self-aware. And I know in the past too, before I really came up with this concept and understood it, I would say, yeah, I'm really self-aware. Like I know what's happening. I know what happened in my childhood. I know what happened in that past relationship, in that job, and all yada yada yada. But I wasn't doing anything productive with it. I wasn't moving the needle with it. And so I am encouraging you now to write down all the things that you were self-aware about, all the ways you're like, I can see myself uh, being in a fear of failure or being in a fear of success or being in a fear of judgment or being seen. So, how are we navigating from that? What are we using in our toolbox, or how are we investing in support and accountability? And this can come in many different ways. How are we using the information that is creating this self awareness to move into a conscious awareness of, okay, I know what is happening, I've pinpointed what is happening, and I know as I've been speaking, there have been a scenario or scenarios that have probably popped into your mind that you're like, I have a pretty good understanding about myself and what's actually happening. But now I want you to say, what am I doing about this? What are the things that I'm shifting? And what are the things that I am changing about this? What are the things that I'm helping myself progress and move forward? I have met some very, very self aware people, but they have been in the same cycles, the same feedback loops, and I'll explain feedback loops in a second because I spoke about it on my mastermind last night. They've been in the same cycle, same feedback loops for years. And I've experienced this firsthand. So I know exactly what it feels like and what it looks like. yet they pride themselves on being a very self-aware person. That means nothing to me. Step into the conscious awareness of, okay, let's look at everything that is happening, and now in my business or my health or my wealth or my career or my relationships, how am I doing something different? Now, just going back to the feedback loop, it looks like, where does the behavior start? What does the behavior look like? What is the feeling from that? And then how does it go into a cycle that's not productive for you? Feedback loops can be used for anything. I just want to keep the way that I taught it to my masterminds last night is just be very aware of where it begins, where the behavior begins, what is the feeling that happens from that behavior, and how that looks like. Why is it a cycle? And in the middle of that feedback loop is like the reward, the dopamine hit. So let's say that you have a belief system and you're self-aware that your belief system is, I have to work really really hard for success or promotion, more clients, more money, whatever your version of success is. And that's the belief system. The self-awareness piece comes into, oh, I can witness myself burning out every time it gets to a Sunday. I'm exhausted. I don't want to spend time with my family, my kids, or my partner, or I don't want to go to brunch with my friends because I am burnt out. I'm exhausted. I know that this is coming from my job. I know that the only reason I feel like this is because of the way that I'm operating in my career or my business, whatever fits. And then so the feeling from there, from this belief system's created the feedback loop. Then the emotion there is the burnt out. It's the frustration because you're not having family time, or you're making all this money but you can't spend it. And what starts to happen is, in this loop, there is a reward that keeps you going. So what, every so often you may experience a pay rise, you may get a bonus, you may get more clients, you may see a progress in your health. Again, I'm trying to make it fit for different areas of life. You may go on a really, really good date. Let's say it's a feedback loop of trying to find your significant other, and you have a really good date. And so then your body starts to relax and it goes, well, see, look at like all this hard work, even though you're burnt out, even though you're frustrated, even though you're annoyed and you're physically and emotionally exhausted, the self awareness, look at this reward you got after doing this for weeks or a few months. You got that promotion, or you got that pay rise, or you got 10 more clients, or you hit that PB at the gym. Again, whatever fits. And so, why would we, if we look at like our brain is getting rewarded, we're getting that dopamine hit, why would we step out of that? But then if we zoom out, something else I say on the podcast that is all available on my channel, by the way, but in the podcast, it's zoom out, bird's eye view your situation, take the emotion out of it. What are you actually seeing? And if we zoomed out of this example, let's say someone working really hard in their career, we zoom out, what we can see is every week they are exerting their energy, they're burning the fuck out, they have no time, no energy to spend with their family on the weekends, and so they're grumpy and reactive with their partner and their kids. The fan is on and I can feel my my hair getting blown in my face. They're reactive, and so they end up fighting with their partner, which leads them to not having sex because they're grumpy and reactive. Their kids are playing up because all they want is undivided attention, but you can't be bothered. You just want to scroll on your phone because you're so burnt out. But then you keep doing this, and then after 5 weeks of doing this, you then get a little bit of a pay rise. And so the brain goes, why would we change this? Look at all this burnout and frustration, even though you're fighting with your partner every week, even though your kids, you're feeling disconnected from yourself as a mother. Look, you got that pay rise. Keep doing that. And where I want you to move into, and why I decided to speak about this today on live, is, so consciously, what are you doing if you know that's not serving you, if you know it's not inspiring, if it's not working towards your value? Conscious awareness is moving out of that and seeing how quickly you can actually bridge the gap between the self awareness, between the conscious awareness, and how quickly you can also start to shift how you're viewing life, how you're operating, how you're doing things differently. We fall into these patterns and behaviors and believe we have no choice, believe we can't do things differently, believe, no, I can't slow down, or I can't take a vacation, or I can't find another job because of XYZ. We play into our own excuses that we have created, that sometimes aren't even the excuses that we've created. We've picked them up from people in our life, and we take them on board as belief systems of our own. And so I want you to start to think, where am I in this feedback loop? And the feedback that it's giving me is XYZ, and I'm aware, but like now, how am I moving into changing, and what am I doing differently? And this is where most people, and this is what we do a lot of work in my mastermind. By the way, all the details for my mastermind is in the show notes below. On my TikTok, it's in my link in bio. We are open for applications for Q2. It's all about subconscious reprogramming your success and your fulfillment across the board in your life. So your wealth, your career or business, and your relationships. If you are looking to up level, if you are looking to upgrade your life, like this is for the women, the high achieving women, where you're on the edge of this up level and you keep pushing for it. And maybe as I've been speaking to you, and maybe as I'm sharing this, you realize like you are on the edge, but you just don't know how to get out of there. And you're looking for that next level. Like you can almost see it and touch it and feel it. This mastermind is for you. And the discussions and the masterminding and the phases we go through. We have 3 phases in Wool Mastery Mastermind. Wool Mastery stands for Woman Mastery. You're mastering yourself as a woman. You're becoming the leader of your life in these 3 phases: subconscious reprogramming, identity shifting, nervous system regulation, expanding to a new capacity. You learn, like, how can I get over that edge? But the biggest thing is being able to maintain that, being able to sustain that. We don't want to have a win, a quick win, a dopamine hit, and then we can't sustain it. And then we fall back into our old patterns. I got a question here on YouTube. How can you positively receive constructive criticism for self improvement? And so, all the details for that mastermind is in the link in bio, show notes below. But this is a great question. Positively receive. Anytime anyone uses the word positive or negative, it's always a perception. So, in constructive criticism, well, the first thing is great. You can see that it's constructive criticism. I believe that to be able to positively receive any constructive criticism or criticism overall, it is all about your perception of how you're taking that on board as feedback. If it triggers you, we spoke about triggers on the mastermind last night. If it triggers you, triggers equals feedback. It is quite literally more feedback to you of something you need to own and love and heal. It's not so much being able to be like, I'm happy, like someone's giving me criticism, constructive criticism, and I'm going to be positive about this and happy. It's not about that. It's about taking on board what they say, see where it's really sticky in your body, in your heart space, where it really triggers you, where it really starts to evoke an emotion that doesn't feel nice. The resentment may come up, or you straight away are reactive. And it's like, oh, why are you saying that about me? And then ask yourself, where can I own that trait inside of myself? Even if someone says something, you're like, that is not me. That's not who I am. That's not a part of me. You need to own that. You need to heal that. It's a big part of Will Mastery Mastermind. And then you need to own it and you love it, and then they heal it. Love it. Love that trait. Everything that anyone mirrors back to you, whether you're seeing it yourself or whether they say it as constructive criticism, you need to love that. When we cannot love and accept the traits that are getting mirrored back to us, that we get feedback on, we will always forever live in this loop and cycle of resentment and this triggered state. There are very triggered people in the world. They're very emotionally reactive. There are people who walk around with so many emotional charges, and they blame him or her, or they blame their circumstances. Again, they may be self-aware, but they're not consciously aware. What are they doing with that? So I always encourage anyone who, especially if it's like in a job or family or relationship, if you're getting that constructive criticism, it's not about how can I be positive about it. It's more, what am I doing with anything in that triggers me? How am I owning that? How am I loving that? How am I truly healing that and allowing that to be a part of me? And the other part I'll share that I spoke about to my masterminders when it comes to triggers is, am I amplifying that, or am I dissolving this in my life? Amplifying is, am I doing more of that? Am I really embodying this as a trait of me? Dissolving it is getting rid of it, is still owning it and loving it and accepting it as part of you. But you realize you no longer, for your current state of the experience, the human experience, it's no longer something that serves you. If you look back on your life, you've probably been a certain type of person and then you get to where you are now and it's like I could never like be in that trait anymore, or like I just don't, it's not I could never be in that's the wrong way to put it. It's more like I don't resonate with that at all. It doesn't stick, or you think like, how was I that type of person? Again, we can perceive those traits as good or bad. And so it's about understanding what's the feedback. Am I amplifying or dissolving this trait? And know that there is no positive, perceived positive way to accept any criticism or the feedback. It's just what we do with it, which links beautifully to what I've spoken about in this entire live. You can be so self-aware of who you are and your patterns and your behaviors and what you want to change. So many people are so self-aware. I want to change this. I need to change that. I want to do, but they don't move into conscious awareness of doing something about it. Now is the time to do something. If you're watching this is for a reason. If you are tuning in on this and you're taking this in, and maybe it's a little bit triggering, maybe it's a little bit hard for you to like take on board, but I invite you to take it on board. I invite you to go and reflect on it, to go and journal on it, on what's come up for you. But now is the time to take action, not tomorrow, not in a year's time, not when you're ready or less busy. When are those? I'm sick of people using those as an excuse. I truly am. And I say that with so much love because I have been there time and time again. It's not the right time. I'm too busy now. I can't make it work with I used to say that all the time with investments, yet I was going out binge drinking every weekend, or I was just spending my money on dumb shit. What's your priority? What's your value? You are doing everything in alignment with your values. And so I can tell what a person's values are by where they invest their time, energy, money, and resources and skill all of the time. I can tell you what your values are. If you tell me that you value investing and saving and building wealth, yet all your time and energy is in complaining, going to a job you hate, spending money on new clothes every single week, and uh, not caring about managing your money, whatever, just as an example, you don't have a value in investing and wealth building. You have a value in the validation that the money gives you from your job, the validation, the status. You have a validation through the clothes you're buying that you don't need. Again, I'm not one to say don't buy those clothes just to invest in someone or what, or like a program or a retreat, like a Bali retreat, whatever. I'm saying like your values, I can tell a person's values by how they're using all of those things. And so this is an invitation to all of you that are watching this. What are you consciously aware of that you are going to do something? How are you going to move, into conscious awareness to take action and to stop umming and ahhing and hoping that things change? I posted a thread last night and the thread said, sometimes people are just lazy. People have to use trauma or this happened or that happened or the economy or the government or blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Shut up. I said that with love. And this is going to trigger people. But there have been times in my life I look back and I use every excuse, trust me, every excuse you can think of. And I was just lazy. I was lazy to do anything. I didn't have the focus. I didn't have the discipline because I wasn't tuned in to what my vision is. I wasn't tuned in to what my values are. And this is what I ask for you. And again, I say this with so much love because I've been there and I've experienced this over and over again. But if you're feeling disconnected or this is really triggering you, this is something to go inward. This is something to reflect on. This is something to shift and change, or else it's going to be the same story year in and year out. I'm going to leave this there. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone on TikTok, everyone here on YouTube. I appreciate every single one of you. There is a brand new podcast episode out as well. Just before this live, it's a guest interview. I think it actually ties in very, very nicely with this, like the one I did today that's not released yet, but the one I released last night, it ties in very, very nicely with this conversation. So go and listen to it. Any other topics that you want me to talk about or to expand on, let me know in the comment. And of course, I would appreciate if you hit the subscribe button, the like button, if this is something you like to hear. And I will speak to you in the next live. Bye.